Welcome to another episode. He's back again. Harry, why don't you introduce us? I've never given you that opportunity.
Oh, just yeah, I'm not sure if that's the best thing. Me introducing the show.
All you got to do is
Um,
say, Welcome to Out of the Blank podcast.
yes. Welcome to Out of the Blank podcast.
You have a very
With our,
soothing voice. That's what you should do. You should
Thank
do
you.
narrating or voiceover work.
Yeah. Do you know, I've actually been thinking about that. I do think I have a nice pace. I think, when you read through a piece of work and you go, you know what, I think I could read this really nicely.
No, you're an Abercrombie and Finch model. Look at your beard. That is a model beard. That's the weirdest thing. Like they used to pay people in the States over here in stores to like stand just with their shirt off and just sell products. I mean, just like
Hmm.
people would try a perfume and be like, smell me. Oh, you smell good. Okay, then maybe you might like this perfume that I have. And the next thing you know, you end up being a shirtless guy in a store and be like, what do you do for a living? Well, I spend most of my time shirtless and I have people that come over because I look sexually attractive. And then they just like to put their hands over, my chest and my body. And then I sell them shirts or loose fitting pants. And they think that they're going to look like me when they put it on. But then when they put it on, they're upset and they want to return the thing. But then I pop up again and they just go, okay, I'm happy with the purchase that I've endured.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to be honest, I generally only normally put clothes on to go to work or go out. So I think that'd suit me fine. I'll do that.
There's like I guess I get the retired thing of like I know plenty of retired people either that'll come to the gym like 3 times in one day. And I'm like, dude, you're
Mm.
here again. And he's just like, yeah, I'm retired. I'm like,
Yeah.
I get it. So like, what is this? And he goes, well, my wife doesn't want me sitting in the house all day watching TV. And I was like, yeah, that's eventually what you end up doing. But there's two sides of people. There's the people that would like to be retired and just sit at home all day and not do a damn thing, not care about wearing pants ever. And then there's the people that want to still go out into the world. And I feel like either they want to make a hassle for somebody. Um, Now I gotta clarify on that. When I mean hassle, I mean like they just feel like going to the store and then talking to a person that was nice to them in a store for one time and then basically drowning out their day by like 3 hours by just chatting it up like yeah. Oh yeah. That's exactly how it goes. And I'm not mad at that. I think it's interesting. I just wonder if there's more things to do when you're retired than just golfing, like painting.
Yes. Oh, but taking up a hobby, just interesting things, learning new things. Especially that's the thing, learning something new that you've not tried before, maybe. I think I think majority of our days are sort of obviously taken up with, making ends meet. And I think there's so many things. I mean, I've got a guitar, bass guitar, a mandolin. I had a violin. These are all instruments I love, but the time I actually have spare to play them, it's sadly that's far less than I'd like. But I think if ever I got an opportunity to just sort of cut down those hours, maybe do a bit of work for myself, whatever, then definitely I'd take that time to learn to paint. Well, actually, I probably wouldn't learn to paint. I'm an awful drawer. It's awful. Yeah,
I
looks
used
like
to
a
think I was an awful painter. And then I just saw I don't know if you have Netflix, but there's a new Bob Ross documentary that just came out.
mm,
It is the saddest fucking thing I have ever seen. I have more respect for that man. Like, so he was
mm,
painting and doing this show, and they go through his whole life experience. And not to spoil it for a lot of people out there, but it kind of shows how he's been manipulated as a tool. Like
mm.
he was doing these paintings, and then eventually this person that was helping him get on these PBS shows decided that they wanted to make a company with Bob Ross's image. And then
Yes.
when Bob Ross died, there was they wanted the rights to his likeliness so they could keep selling their products. And it's just been this long, like 50, like throughout the documentary, there's like people like they had Bob Ross's son on there. And he's like,
Mm,
um, there are people that want to be in this interview, but they're too afraid that, and then the family's name that is the one that helped Bob Ross get his start and started up the company. They were afraid of that family coming after them with legal because they used to be ex CIA. So like
yeah.
Bob talks about like he would be over there, like he spent a good portion of his life, like not a good portion, but like maybe a couple of years living there. And they learned
Mm,
how to like they recorded every single phone call before we had recordings or things that we could do with our phones like we do now. They would take a
yeah.
suction cup to the back of the phone and record every single business conversation and keep them on tapes and just loiter them like apparently throughout because Bob Ross ended up dying of like I think it was non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which there's a conspiracy theories that it led to the paint. Like the paint that he was doing, he would always like there's a certain part in the documentary where every time in his show he would take the paintbrush when he was done with it and start hitting the side of the easel with it, like patter it off. And then people are like, yeah, I mean, he used a lot of paint thinner on that canvas and then like, picker pattern and that. It makes me think if I wonder if a couple of those particles went up his nose. And it's like
Mm.
you start to look at it like, oh my God, because like painting back in the day, people used to paint their nurseries with lead paint. And then
Yeah.
eventually people are like, oh my God, wait, lead paint's bad. It's like, yeah, it's why your kid gnaws on every fucking thing that he sees. It's because you had the whole nursery paint with lead paint. There was actually painters back in the day, they would lick the tip of their paintbrush to make
Mm.
the tip of it a little bit thinner or a little bit like more precise in their paint
Mm.
strokes. And there was like something up on the brush and then the paint as well too actually gave people like skin cancer and these types of things where it absorbed into their cheek cells. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing right now that's going to end up being a documentary 30 years from now where it's like, oh, I can't move my fucking legs because I was sitting down too much podcasting all the damn time. But hey, I was young. I didn't know any better.
Yeah, but like, well, that's the thing though. It's like, I mean, there's plenty of things that we know about. People smoke, drink. I mean, yeah, basically anything. I mean, even like fats, processed foods. There's lots of negative impacts later in life. With more of it. But I think in the end, you've just got to enjoy what you have now and make the most of it. And hopefully not enjoy things to too much excess. And fingers crossed that it doesn't put you in a coma or debilitate you in any way. Um,
But they
but
talk
otherwise,
about like there's big tobacco companies that everybody always mentions, like it's going to end up giving you lung cancer or something. I'm like, yeah, but what about Lenny Kravitz? I mean, that guy was lived to be like in his late 70s or something, and did
mm,
cocaine and all these crazy ass drugs that you're not supposed to do like almost every fucking day. So I'm like, maybe it's like
yeah,
maybe you're that select few that can get away with that. Who's to say that the cocaine's not keeping you alive longer? I don't know.
I
Maybe.
know. Yeah, it must have some good properties to it. I'm sure we've all enjoyed one or two rides. Then it keeps you going.
I think what that documentary really highlighted to me though was that like people talk about like there's just evil people out there. I'm like, well, it's all about survival as well too. And it's very interesting because I think when we think death is death, depending on if you're religious and you think there's an afterlife, nobody talks about the likeliness of your image being used. Like not too long ago, they were making holograms of Tupac and they
Mm,
had him on stage. Tupac is dead. As far as
yeah.
like real legitimacy goes in death, but then there's the conspiracy theories like he's out in Hawaii or he's out in Mexico. I'm like, I don't know. I don't see the okay. But they used a hologram of him and had him play concerts and stuff linked up to his songs. And then now they have technology with computers where there's artists that are dead, but they're able to use this computer AI to scan all of their works and then recreate new songs. So it's like, you're not, is that right? Is that morally right to use an
Mm,
artist's image and an artist's likeliness all because you added into the because like in the Bob Ross documentary, they show the paperworks that they had to get signed and everything. And when Bob was on his deathbed, the lady was asking Bob's son, "You need to go in there and make him sign these papers." And it's like he's he's not gonna want to do this right now. I can't do this right now. I'm dealing with the death of my father, basically. But you read the wording of it and they match the wording together, and it's like, holy shit! Like it doesn't straight out say. But then when they like take the little bits and pieces, and I don't know if that's like maybe a twist of how they spun it, but you start to see like, oh my God, they're really just, I want the likeliness of Bob, be able to sell products after he dies and everything like that.
mm,
That's why it's still going on today. Like we see so much Bob Ross stuff. And I think that's
yeah.
where a main generation of kids know it. But the main importance of that whole entire thing and me rambling is the fact that when he was painting, he said that it was in all of us. And
Mm,
throughout that documentary, I was like, I know I can't fucking paint. I suck at painting. I hate it. I hate getting messy. I hate when I get the little paint on my fingertips or on my clothes. I just can't do it. My OCD just can't handle it. But then when he's doing it and he's showing you like the picker patterns and the taps of the paintbrush where the landscape starts to unfold, there's no mess ups. There's only happy accidents. And
mm,
you start to see like, holy shit, like maybe I do have that inside of me. And he shows all the classes that he taught, and everybody, every single person from a little kid to an elderly adult was able to do these amazing landscapes. And he goes, it's
Mm,
very easy. You just got to picture it in your mind and then do it. And
yeah.
I think that's what pisses me off more about them still using his likeliness is
Mm,
because someone who's that like just honest and caring. Hopefully there's not like a dark evil side where he was doing something crazy in his free time or something like that. But it was just a compassion to just want to express the creativity that you have inside of us. And I think throughout everyday acts that we experience on a daily basis or just life in general kind of pushes that to the wayside because you have important things to do, like work your job, then come home and try to find a way to make yourself happy so you can go back up and do the same thing the next day.
yeah. No, I agree. Definitely. I think it's, when you see people who are that, I think, good and honest, and kind, and it feels it feels very morally wrong that, you know, there was this contractual loophole, this way that they kind of almost forced someone into this situation so that they basically owned his likeness. And I mean, I think it's very, even modern day now. I know with Facebook, they've got Instagram, they have WhatsApp. I'm sure they've probably got some other sort of apps all interconnected. But I can't remember when it's supposed to come into effect. But effectively, every photo that's either sent through that application that's posted on it, they have rights to. So, it's not like you close the account and you go, no, I'm taking all my stuff down. Because it's all gone up to the cloud and whatever, they now have rights to it. So they can use a photo of yours in advertising. And, it might just be innocent. It might be like some lovely, um, landscapes and bits like that. But what other photos are we sending, and where can they be selling these photos to? It's basically, it seems everything has a price now. And I think I despise that idea that, well, no, actually, no, I don't have a price. I'm not going to sell myself for anything. I will sell my time, I'll sell my labor to perform a job and to, make my income, but I'm not selling myself. I'm not going to give over, more than I'm willing to give. And I think, when you do look at sort of these contracts and these corporations, I mean, like you say, with like Tupac and them recreating his image, you know, where and when did they consider this okay, and where did they, you know, buy that image? I'm sure, like, probably like just the sort of like start off, they were like, they basically, like you say, with these sort of loopholes, the way they word it is, we're selling an image, but that's our image. It's, it is of you, but it's ours. And it just feels so underhand and so, I think, cruel. I do find, and but I think you do see that that's kind of everywhere now. But then on the same time, when you're saying about survival, I think I think people, humankind, I think we're a lot more caring and considerate of other people than I think people, well, things try to make out. Because I can't remember if it's a lecturer. I remember her saying about how, what was the first sign of civilization, and people were saying pottery or literature, or it's a way, like, communicating through either image. And she pointed out, it was the sign of a mended bone. So a healed bone, like, it's like a, if you look in the animal kingdom, um, if an animal breaks a bone, that's it, it's dead. But to find a human whose bone has been healed, has been obviously taken care of, they've been looked after with the group until that bone was healed, so that then they can rejoin society. That, she said, was the first sign of civilization. And I definitely, I think this is so true, that you, when you see disasters, car crashes, fires, natural disasters, and you see people running into the danger to help, and that, I think, is the true nature of humans. So yeah, when you get these people who are just there for profit, for the capital, I just think, that's not human. That's greed. That's, a corrupting influence.
I think there's another perspective at play, though. I think that
Mm,
it's a societal structure that we kind of have based upon, and that's just not in the States. That's just in the world today. And I
mm,
think it's a fact of like how awesome and how easy it is to live when you are successful. And you could be
oh God,
successful
yeah.
at anything. You can be a fucking Abercrombie and Finch model and be successful. You can be a TikToker. You can sell your feet on OnlyFans,
Mm,
$100,000 a month on a 2-minute clip. You only have to do that twice a week, and you're going to get $100,000 a month. But
yeah.
nobody, like, it's kind of like the mental health situation. Like, the world talks about how we're so pro mental health, but everything that we're seeing is it's just increasing. And I'm like, then what foundations are trying to stop it? There's some side-owned businesses for sure that are might be side organizations like nonprofits that are trying their best, but there's nothing that's like it's kind of like the disguise of helping when really there's no possible way you're doing anything that is really changing the system at all. I think society cares more about mental health now, but like if we take like a business producer or someone who takes a young band and then ends up fucking them over, which happens a lot. I mean,
Mm,
Elvis, for instance, his manager like was doing everything in his possible power to make sure Elvis never toured outside of the US in fear that if he left, he would never want to come back. So he was limiting him on his capabilities. We don't know what else could have happened with Elvis if he would have extended
yeah.
out. But I think it comes from a point of when you're a kid and you're told you can do anything that you can possibly imagine, and how you see everyone around, like Jake Paul fighting fucking Tyrone Woodley. Like people are like, oh my God, a YouTuber can fight an MMA fighter. Then you're like, then anything I could do is possible. And then when you don't reach those goals, you start feeling like you got to be as desperate as possible. Then we go over to the business producer, for instance, that decides he sees a young band, he makes a contract, and all this band is thinking is what me and you would think at our age if we just got a giant contract to make millions of dollars potentially. We're like, oh my God, we're gonna be able to do this and this and this, and we're gonna be famous finally. Our dreams are gonna come true.
Mm,
Fucking, it's like the 17-year-old girl that gets off the bus in Hollywood thinking that she's going to have big dreams of the big city, and then finds a producer and doesn't realize what a producer can legally tell her and what can't, I guess, force her to
yeah.
do something. And she ends up getting into all these crazy scenes and then maybe ends up in the porn industry. It might be a
Mm,
long, long walk for a short drink of water, but you get the gist. Um,
yeah.
when we look at a producer that offers me and you a contract deal because now we have a band and we just left our town home, we maybe took a 200-mile trip to go and start up our new life and try and get on the big stage like we always see. Then in the contract we're not reading, we sign away because we look at like, oh my God, we're going to get this amount of money. But then they own our likeliness and then they own our product. So next thing you know, we're creating songs and we're not making as much money as the guy who sold us the contract is. And then you
Mm,
realize, no, I actually got you by the balls now. You cannot play your song unless it's on the venue that I suggest it to be. And you start realizing,
yeah.
but it's our voice. You can't recreate the song. Actually, I already have a recording of your voice, so I can just play it whenever I want. They'll like the song,
Yeah.
but I don't need your face attached. Hell, I can get other people to fucking play it. And you're like,
Yeah.
but I wrote that song. That song was about my dad that passed away. It's like, doesn't matter. It makes me fucking money. And
Yeah.
that's what happens is, back to the main point, is that I don't think that person wanted, when he was a kid, to fuck over someone like that. But the world showed him that, hey, now you're in your 40s, you're not successful, and you might not ever be successful. So now you got to do whatever you possibly can to make the success that you have always dreamed of. And that in turn costs of fucking over the new band that just came out that wants to fucking have their song played in front of millions of people, and you have the platform to give it to them. That's your tool. My buddy that makes my shirts, for instance, he has
Mm,
talent. I give him the idea, then I put it on my shirt. I'm just getting him out there. I'm like his
yeah.
thing to try and get like attention, is because he's very, very talented, but he doesn't have the drive. It's like why people have managers, for instance. People have
Mm,
managers because they don't want to deal with all that. They don't know it that well. The manager's getting a piece because they're getting a lot more than you are out of it because of a factor of, hey, I see this kid has potential. I got to rise him up to the tops and show him that he needs me. So then I'll always have a steady source of income. And that's kind of how the world works. I don't think anybody initially starts out being this evil mastermind of the apocalypse. I think it just, the
Mm,
world turns and bends you a certain way.
yeah, I mean, it's sad because it's that level of manipulation. I think, in fact, with my housemates, I was having a similar discussion not too long ago. I think if we pick out like a someone who's actually in, was it the news not too long ago, Harvey Weinstein, is that Weinstein? The Was it a movie producer? And like how he basically manipulated girls, got them to do sexual favors for him, but in exchange for roles. I mean, you could take a step back and say, well, that was technically a transaction. However, once again, it's that person who's in a desperate situation. It's someone who's easily manipulated. It's, this is my only path. Otherwise, I don't get the roles. I don't get the work, and I'm screwed basically. And and I think that's, well, if you say it's. I don't think anyone goes in to this business or those sort of businesses intending to manipulate, to take people for more than they deserve. Um, but I think, like I think if we said, like maybe in my first conversation we had, that about power corrupting. It's when you're the one who's connected, when you're the one who knows the ins and outs, there's going to be a level of manipulation. There's going to be a level of, I can get the best from this. I think I know in the because K-pop, that's one of these music
Mhm.
industries that have grown quite exponentially recently. And from what I've read, a couple of those bands, they literally have their life scheduled, where, like, what they dress when they go out, what they eat as well, because um, well, they've got to keep an image. And I think that's mad. How can you sell so much? But once again, it's, if that's your only path, and like I say, you get in with a manager, they're taking you on this path, and then they're going, well, this is your new contract, or you get nothing. And then suddenly you're like, okay, well, I'm stuck. Um, and yeah, it's yeah, it's hard and awful, and people can get to this point. I'm just like, yeah, just a bit mad, isn't it?
I since we might as well use it while I got it. Is I have so many perspectives into my head. Name one thing that you want more than anything right now. If you could have a genie grant a wish, what would you want?
My own home, like own completely, you know, no cost, just a nice home,
Big home?
plenty of space. Well, not really, just a suitable size for me, maybe someone else, and then a nice garden, nice view, ideally by the sea, and that would be it. That's, I think, would be me content.
Okay. You wouldn't want a bunch of money.
See, that's the thing. There's, I'm one of those people. I enjoy working, and I enjoy, you know, being active and keeping busy. So, I could say, oh, okay, I want, I don't know, 100 million. Will I spend it? Probably not. I think I'd like to think, oh, I'd probably give quite a bit away to charity and stuff like that. But once again, there's like that level of power and corruption, and how, well, for one, I think people come out the woodwork and suddenly be your friends and want a bit of that. Um, and then there's the whole idea of, putting that into savings, putting that into the stock market, and you know, I think when you start playing with it and realizing you're losing, then it's like, how do I regain? How do I keep this level up? But I think, I think the main costs of living is a place to live. Is your rent, is your mortgage. Um, you know, Generally, I think most people could probably, if you didn't have to pay a huge chunk of your wages out to that, you could probably get by
Yeah.
quite nicely with paying for a car, paying for your phone, um, food every month, and you feel good. And so, yeah. So I think I've got a quite down to earth dreams. Down to earth is just, yeah, if I've got that settled position, if I know where I'm going to lay my head, then I should be good.
It's about the same as mine. I thought it would about being rich, but then I started to realize like Elon Musk, for instance, I've been noticing this on social media, so many people asking for money. And I was doing it as a joke for a while, but you
Mm,
start to realize like everyone, since he's a billionaire or trillionaire, just like Bezos, they just expect like, why aren't you using your money to do this? I'm like, what would you use your own money to do that if you didn't give a shit about it? Like you have
yeah.
to you look at the things like people and I've been getting super interested into Elon Musk because there's a documentary coming out about him where everyone's trying to like expose his evil. And I'm like, I don't think he's evil. I just think he's a person that's having fun with the life that he has. And he doesn't really, not every billionaire needs to care about the world or care about people, but it's been disguised as every single billionaire and person cares about the world by starting their foundations. I'm like, they're doing it for a tax cut. Actors
Yeah.
and actresses, they don't do anything unless they're getting paid to do so, or if it's going to get them good publicity. Nobody does anything in this world without getting something out of it. You know what I
Mm,
mean? It's why it's probably the most challenging thing to do this podcast is because there's not really anything that I can offer you money wise, or it's just conversation. And I'm glad you said conversation, not interview. Um, but it's it's hard for a lot of people to just be like, I got to make an hour out of my day to do this, and
mm,
that's the whole reason like why Joe Rogan's podcast is what it is. People go on there and they know they're going to get attention out of it, so it's more inciting for them to try and reach out and want to be on that show. He talks about in the
yeah.
beginning, he was just doing it on his laptop. I mean, he's 10 years in, so he didn't start getting paid until like 7, 6 years in. And
Yeah.
he talks about, I'm just doing a laptop and smoking weed in my fucking house and, chatting with my friends. Nobody wanted to do it. But then once people started seeing it was a way to sell tour dates, people liked listening to that. It was a good way to get a platform for comedians to be able to sell tickets. Then more people wanted to be on it. And then the guests started getting easier. When I first started this show, when I was on episode 60 or 70, try reaching out to somebody when you only have 70 episodes. And that might sound like 70 episodes. My whole category is like 24, and I've only been doing it 5 years. For my style show where I post every day, 50 episodes, people go, that's not enough credit. Like I don't, that's that, it just doesn't seem appetizing. But then
Mm,
when I reach out to someone now and they go, you have 900 episodes, you have 800 something episodes. It's like, yeah, I've been doing this a while. They're like, whew, all right, yeah, I'm in. It's like I don't even need to look at it. It's like, yeah, because you see that like it's not, it has some steam to it. It has weight to it.
yeah.
If you put something, it's like building a sandcastle. Joe Rogan says it best, so I'm not going to steal his quote, but he talks about like life is like a sandcastle. You spend so much time building it up into something, knowing that at the end there's that inevitable wave that's going to crash it down. That's
Mm,
literally what we're all doing in this life. I mean, you can consider your work, and if your business collapse, there's always going to be that end. You think that it's going to live on like a legacy. You think it's going to carry on this master weight to it that your kid, during the Bob Ross documentary, to reference that again, he's painting, and his son goes like narrating over it, goes, he always wanted me to take over the show and I didn't want to do that. That wasn't me. And then it starts showing you like he's sitting there, who paints good mountains? My son Steve paints good mountains. He's actually probably more talented than me. Hopefully we'll get him back on the next series. He knew that his time was running short, and he wanted
mm,
his son to carry on his legacy and not it die there. But who's to say that your legacy is supposed to carry on? Maybe it's just it stops with you, but that's what people remember. Doesn't
mm,
necessarily need to be another person carrying it on. It doesn't necessarily be another thing going on for it to live on. He's actually gotten more attention than he did back in the day now. And he was on TV
yeah.
back in the day, but maybe it's a factor of people love an artist's work after they die. But a best real example I can give you is that there was a guy who owned a skydiving company for 15 years. He was going to
Mm,
retire. He gave the business to his son. In the first 2 weeks, that son crashed his whole entire business. all because he
Wow.
took a person up there and the person didn't put on his parachute and just jumped out. The guy wanted to kill himself. He didn't ask those questions. He didn't see that. He just, all right, we're going to go up on this flight. They get up there. Hey, you can't jump out the door with that. Dude just jumps out of the door like, holy fuck, this dude just jumped out of an airplane without a parachute because he wanted to kill himself. Then the whole
Yeah.
business was tanked. After all that time the dad spent into building up his company, he wanted his son to take it over and his son bank crashed it in 2 weeks.
Mm,
Necessarily, it doesn't really need to stay in the bloodline. It doesn't need to stay in the family. Family is a word that
mm,
means like, oh, that's your blood family. But what about the family that is not blood related that actually means more to you than your family? The people that you
mm.
know are willing to put in the work and effort to
Oh
carry
yeah.
on this thing. And that's where a lot
Mm,
of businesses fall. A lot of business owners
yeah.
don't want to give up their business to someone that's outside the family. It's got to stay in the family. It's like, well, if that person cares about it more than your actual family does, wouldn't you want your legacy to be carried on that way? But it doesn't have my name. That's the thing. It's just having your name on something. Well, like I
Yeah.
explained to you in the beginning of this podcast, Bob Ross, a different company owns his likeliness and his name. That name does not mean Bob Ross. That name might have the words in there, but it's not him. It's not. And that's with anything that we do. When you create something, are you willing to stick it in and stick it out for however long you feel like you need to be doing just to hold on a little bit, just a little bit, to make sure it stays you. It's not contaminated with someone else's thoughts or emotions or things like that. It's like if I was going to do ads for this podcast, I would never do one right in the middle. That makes no fucking sense to me. I fucking hate it when I hear it. But I might have one
Yeah.
at the beginning or I might have one at the ending. But I want the conversation not to be interrupted by fucking here's the and then they sell this product right in the middle as we're getting to like this big breaking point
Nice.
in our
Yeah. Nice
conversation.
juicy point. And you're like, yeah.
And it's hard because I think we all just want money to survive, and I don't know
Mm,
how to fix that. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't want to fix that. I just necessarily don't want that to be the consumption of my being. But that seems like that's everything that you see is about money, is about
mm,
popularity, is about numbers and likes and all this. And I'm like, we're in a weird system in society where we care more about the fact of how many people follow us on social media than maybe the content of our followers, who are people that we are actually going to enjoy to talk to, who are people that are just going to be using us for something, you know?
yeah. No, I find that it's yeah, interesting because I mean, I know for myself, I mean, there was definitely a point. I mean, like when you say about the family name and things like that, and family being blood, but then there's also the family who are the ones who actually are there, the ones who are passionate, whether it is company, whether that's the people you have surrounding you. I mean, like I say, because like as we've said before about me being being an ex-witness, and the people I call family are those close friends who were with me through this kind of the hardest time of my life. It was my parents, it wasn't my siblings. um they were just my closest friends, and as far as I'm concerned, I've actually I've, I think maybe I went through a point of kind of, let's say, clarity. Just I reached a point and went, you know what, I've got 5 friends, and I can name them off the top of my head. Just it's Fernando, Molly, Pixie, Seamus, Katie. That's it.
Who the
Five
hell,
friends.
who the hell, his name's Pixie?
Oh, well, her name's Karen, but everyone calls her Pixie.
Is that her
Pixie
Twitter
like the
profile?
no, no, she doesn't do any social media or anything like that. Um, but yeah, no, but the thing is like these people were there with me, well, when I most needed it, when I'm at my lowest, when I'm going to my hardest sort of times. And I think I that's what I like. I realized that actually I don't care about getting a huge amount of followers. Don't care about reaching a great quantity of people. Rather, isn't it so much better for the quality of those people? Is to have those people who you enjoy their conversation, who when they're down, you can be there and support them, but and vice versa. When you're down, and they'll be there, just like that, just not in a blink of an eye. They'll just, they don't. It's not hardship for them, or it's not they're doing you a favor just to be there when you're struggling.
It might be
So
the
yeah,
visual of how people like you or how popular you are, but does
mm,
anybody necessarily want you? The best example I want to
mm,
give you is that during this hurricane that's coming down, hitting our hitting over here in the States, they went and showed the videos of the stores and how bare bones everything was. All the whole
mm,
water thing, every single bottles of water, gallons, whatever, they're all gone, but one company was left, and that was Dasani. And it's like nobody fucking wants Dasani. And it's like,
yeah,
even though they're made by Coke, or is it Coke
mm,
or Pepsi? They have this giant brand company, but nobody wants them. They have the optics and the followers and whatever it seems like at this big popularity aspect to them, but nobody wants it when it comes down to it. You can have an
mm,
army of friends, but if you're sitting there stranded somewhere and you need to call somebody, you know who you can count on. The first image of that person goes straight to your head. And I can tell you, for me, it's not family, it's a friend of mine. So I'm just
yeah,
saying there's an important aspect to that part of somebody's character. Necessarily, they're not going to be like that for everybody. But the fact that you have that, people go, well, I have hundreds of friends. It's like, yeah, but how many on your fucking hand can you count that you have
mm,
that knows, like, if you pass away, they're really going to be fucked up by it. And they're going to do everything in their
yeah,
possibility to make sure they take care of the things that you know you'd want them to take care of once you're gone.
exactly. And I think that's the thing. I think you know that in your gut, definitely. It's, being able to say, yeah, this person, these people, they will be there, when you need it. If I die tomorrow, they will be the ones that are heartbroken. And I mean, if any of my other family are listening to this, I do understand, and I do think you'll be sad. But there's those closest people that, even for myself, if they were gone tomorrow, I would, yeah, it would really, really change your life, really knock you. And yeah, yeah, it's definitely a deep sort of thought, when you do have to kind of reflect on who's there for you in those darkest times when you are in the, I guess, that kind of worst situations.
So
Yeah,
instead of leaving a legacy, instead of leaving money, instead of leaving a product behind that future generations are always going to appreciate, doesn't it sound more millions that are going to appreciate it, but that don't know your name, don't know your story, don't know the pain that you've ever been through, don't actually physically know you, just like the song that you created? Or
mm,
does it sound better to have a memory left in a very specific group of people that are going to
mm,
change their lives forever? People that
yeah,
you know that if you can count out of your friends that if they passed away, God forbid, obviously, but if they, or in your case, just hope that doesn't happen. But
yeah,
in a way that it would change you in such have such an impact that you wouldn't be able to live the same as you did before they passed. Like,
mm,
that to me is something. And I think every single
definitely,
person out there has that. I don't know one person that wouldn't be affected by, or wouldn't affect one person's life if they were just gone. I think that's the
mm,
short scope of things, is that we get stuck up with where we're not at. Especially me, I get stuck up with
mm,
where I'm not at. And I look at, like, maybe it's just be best to, like, I don't know, just stop everything and just be a
yeah,
mindless drone in society for the rest of my life. But then you start
yeah,
realizing something even deeper is like, well, how many people actually look forward to what you do? Might not be
mm,
millions, but it's a very few group of
mm,
people that really care about you, people that I've met, people that you've probably met in your life, where if you just not showed up to work one day or something like that, there'd be one person like, man, like, where the fuck is he at? Like, this is
mm,
he's my best coworker. He's like, we're friends, man. Like, he never showed up today. And you start to realize,
yeah,
like, the importance that you really play in this system. Everybody has that, no matter if you're a hermit inside of your house. That's why during video games, for instance, there are people that just play video games all day because in their own reality of their life, they're not as important as they are in the game. And a lot of people go, well, that's sad. Not really, because when they die in a video game, there's millions of people that are just sad that this person is gone. There's
yeah,
He has a large following because he's the top number one gamer. There's people that care about him in the game, and in the game he can do whatever he wants. He doesn't have to live in this reality that he hates so much. And I'm not mad at people that do that. I think that's a great escape. I think that if that's what you want to do and you're not going to regret it later in the future, that's the hardest part. Is, I think what scares me is the regret. You don't want to
mm,
look back and think wasted time. You need to
Yeah,
look and flip that perspective in such way that your life wasn't wasted doing something that really you appreciated at the moment.
yeah. I think it's funny working in the funeral industry. I um, it always actually gets me. There's a minister who comes and he does this thing. He says, "What if?" are the two saddest words in the English language. What if? And I think, yeah, actually, that is sad. Like, what if I had done that? What if? And it's, in fact, it's just giving me goosebumps just thinking about that. It's when you sort of, I think it's always worthwhile, you know, especially say working with death. You do go, you got to live. You've got to just, take the risk. It might seem, a bit ostentatious. It might seem daring. It might seem too risky, but give it a go. Because what if you don't try it and then you just live in regret? And I mean, like you just saying about you know not being where you want to be. I think we all sort of go through those sort of phases where we're not where we would have liked to been. We don't have the education we wish we had. We don't have the right money. We're not living the right area. But I mean, I go through sort of my own little down phases. But I think reflect on yourself and reflect where you were. And honestly, every single day is a step forward. Every single day is a step up. I think I communicate better than I used to. I used to be this weird sort of angsty ball of anger and hate and aggression.
Did you
And
have
I think,
grunge? Did you have the grunge days where you were just pissed off at the world?
oh yeah, yeah, definitely, yeah. I mean, even now I have them, but they're just a little more, you
Few
know,
and far between.
yeah, exactly. Um, but yeah, but I just think, we go through life, um, striving to do better. And yeah, I don't think you need yourself beating yourself up about not being at that position yet. You're making those steps. It's about, what can you do tomorrow? I think actually from fact from tomorrow, like one of the things I enjoy doing is writing. And I've actually planning for the whole of September, every day, I'm going to set at least an hour aside to just write. Whether it's a short story, whether it's some poetry, whether it's working on an idea for a novel or something like that, but I have to do every single day. And that's going to be my goal for September. Because hopefully, if I manage to finish something and put some bits together, you can send it off to a publisher and see what happens. If they want to publish it, there's an option, there's a path. I've started to learn Spanish as well because I just wanted to. Just doing a bit every single day. I think it does seem like a lot of work to constantly look at self-improvement. Yourself working in a gym, you see people wanting to improve themselves. Sometimes it's, you know, gorgeous,
Thank you.
stunning.
Thank you.
Um,
Shut up. You
yeah,
got the
sometimes
nice beard. Leave me alone.
yeah, sometimes it's sort of shorter, selfish goals. It's just that image. But other times it's health. And I a little while ago I was going to a gym, and there was a guy, and without being cruel, he was massive. I mean, he was on a one of those sort of walkers. I forgot what they're called. Yeah, they work arm and legs.
Elliptical.
What about? Yeah, he was on one of them, and I say he was, easily hanging over two beside him. He was that wide. But I took the time to go around. I said, I am so impressed by you. That must be so difficult for you to do, to come to a public place, but that impresses me. That drives me to want to work out and do more and reach my goals. And
Wait,
honestly, the look on his
was he huge jacked or was he huge like overweight?
overweight.
Okay.
So, it was all just, probably he's like
I'm
his
involved
years
in the
of being,
gym life, so all I hear is when someone goes, "You're huge." It's usually big dudes with like lats the size of like four
yeah,
people.
no, yeah. But that's the thing. It's like, you see those people and it's like, they know what they're doing. They're content. They're probably some of them a bit up their own arse in their own sort of ideals. But when you see people who are unhealthy, clearly unhealthy, and they're still trying, that always what impresses me. It's they go, especially when they go to like a gym somewhere public where they can be seen. but they were striving for those goals, and that is amazing, you know. And I think that's what we need to encourage, and that's what you need to sort of strive for ourselves, is to, doesn't matter what people think, doesn't matter what you know, what lashback you might feel, you know, if people laugh at you, you're striving to improve yourself, to make yourself better, to improve your life in the future. And I think that's a great goal.
I've noticed the past 5 years the shift and change that social media has played in the world, mostly on a
Mm,
concept of everyone back in the day used to be like, you would say something to somebody, even if it was rude as shit. And then there would be an argument or something what's happened. Now that argument is taken to social media, and now people are walking around. And I predict in the next 5 years, there's going to be barely any talking anymore.
mm,
Maybe between friend groups for sure, but no meeting new people, no having conversations, no general ways of kindness and acting. And I think pandemic kind of changed it a little bit, but then we're reverting right back to where we were before because you don't know what this conversation is going to lead to. That's the
mm,
biggest fear, especially with trying to record the show or something like that. A lot of people, especially you did on your first time, you're nervous. You don't know what the hell I'm going to ask. You don't know what the word conversation means until you start getting into it and you realize there is nothing that is going to be against me or attacking me or focusing in on this. It's just an open discussion thing. And I'm curious to see because I think those are one of like why Joe Rogan gets so many views is because it is just a conversation thing. A lot of times it starts off with some basic interview questions, obviously, and some maybe some topics to talk about, but it's a free range discussion, which people enjoy listening to because I don't think everyone sees that every single day. What you constantly see are things that are movies or all this type of stuff. And those podcasts will get views, but then they don't last that long though. Like people don't like listening to them every single day. But when you're listening to a new discussion every day, or when you're listening to something that's just talking and having this general discourse that never really happens anymore, might happen with your friend groups, but nobody just randomly goes up to a stranger and starts having a full-on discussion. We all got shit to do. And
yeah,
the more you plan your day like that, the more time that you have, like people that are retired, they don't have plans for their day. Anything can randomly happen, and they're okay with that because they have nowhere to be. When you're a person like me and you, we have shit we got to do. We have plans. We have things that we need to get done. And
yeah,
it doesn't give us the opportunity to want to craft out time or hold up time to strike up a conversation with a random person on the street because we have places to be unless we know that person. And that's kind of what the world is. The world right now is just a bunch of people. And the more you stay inside, the less people you get to know, the less
mm,
relationships you get to develop. And eventually, you're never going to have the need or have the time to be able to have a general chat.
yeah. And I think that's the thing. Additionally, though, that conversations, well, that conversing, that tweeting, commenting, and things, it'll just end up on social media, and that's will be the ins and outs of everyone's social life. I mean, I talk to plenty of people, but it's not my favorite way. I do prefer a conversation like this. It's so much more enjoyable. You know, you don't know where it's going to go, and just random things come up, and it'll divert your conversation down a different avenue. And I think that's wonderful. Um, I think there's a friend of mine who recently we could just chat about shit, and it's just like you don't entirely know where it's going.
Literal shit.
Sometimes,
That's the best part is
yeah,
you can talk about
yeah,
literal
yeah.
shit and it goes like to a logical basis on things.
Yeah, yeah, and it'll go from that to somehow into something medical, then into like other parts of the body, into psychology, and you're like, how do we get here? It's just, but that's the beautiful thing about conversation, but like I do think it's disappearing. You try to have conversations with people. In fact, actually, this did actually pop into my mind. I think we do. There's a lot of knockbacks in the way of trying to have a conversation, and one of mine, I remember, like I say, it's like I've changed a lot. I used to be really quiet, and I mean like shy, quiet, not wanting to talk to people. And I remember one day coming home when I lived with my folks, and I decided just to tell my folks about my day. Just say, oh yeah, this was happening, so and so was talking about this, didn't. And my dad looked at me and just went, I'm not interested. And it's like, Jesus, for
Damn.
someone to, that is a blow to your self-esteem, to your confidence, to like, straight away you just go, well, I'm not interesting. And I remember from that point on, my conversation, well, was a massive knockout. I think I didn't really talk to people at all. It was like, I will pass the information on to you that you need to know, and I expect the same back, and that's it. That was the be all and end all of my, you know, communication with anyone. Um, so yeah, so it was like sort of slowly sort of come back out my shell and slowly gone, actually, I am an interesting person. I like so many weird different things, and I'm interested in learning about different things. I mean, that's why I listen to your podcast, because it's so interesting to hear something I've not heard before, or something I've maybe read about and I'm intrigued and go, okay then, and you listen, talk to someone who's interested in it, who's done more research, and that's the best thing about it. So yeah,
What's
little
one
plug there for a bit of Out of the Blank.
Thank you. What's one thing that you find weird or one thing you find interesting that you can't really talk normally about?
Well,
My buddy's a
I think,
furry, so we could cut.
oh
We don't have,
wow,
yeah, we don't
well,
have to worry about any of like the craziness of it.
that's is he? Oh, have you got an episode with him? Because I'm going to be intrigued by that one. I've got to
Yeah,
find that one.
I'll send it to you.
Fabulous, fabulous. Um, I think one thing at the moment, I'm quite intrigued by the idea of the supernatural.
What
Um,
exactly do we mean by supernatural?
so people like there's hauntings, ghosts,
Yeah,
spirits, things like that.
I got a
Like
couple friends who own a paranormal team.
awesome. Yeah, it's like so like when I was religious, there was a belief behind it being they are demons. They're effectively they are the bad angels trying to dissuade people and make them believe that this thing sort of stuff exists. Because I don't believe that anymore,
Mhm.
I'm thinking, well, people have recorded things. There's, you know, some of them are probably elaborate hoaxes, but then there's also some footage which is intriguingly difficult to explain, and that makes me go, I would like to kind of try it. I know people who have felt things, who have seen things, who have heard things, and it's like, to me, I think my biggest question is when you're thinking about spirits, are they, I think, and even in a scientific way, if you think about are the energies within our bodies, are they leftover energy, which is like effectively like a dying battery, which is just got on
Echoes.
loop? Yeah, echoes just going round and round and round. Eventually, it'll fade. Or does it have is there a conscious there? Is it something which is fixed and is conscious, and is actually interacting with the world that we're seeing? At which point, if it's got if it's got a consciousness, it can be communicated with. So that's what I find kind of interesting, intriguing. Is like it's one or the other. If you can communicate, there's something more. If you can't, it's just like say echoes, and really there's no reason to be afraid of any of it, to be honest. But yeah, additionally, I picked out a friend who's a little bit on the scared side, which is going to be so much fun.
Got to get a Ouija board.
Definitely.
You gotta contact them. That was there's it's so hard because we all want to know about it, but we also don't. Like
Mm,
everyone wants to sleep, but nobody wants to die. You know what I mean? Like there's a weird like it's kind of like a double-edged sword in a way. There was a YouTuber who was getting popular for like doing dumb pranks with his girlfriend. And then he said his girlfriend died. And then he drove over to this like side landmark thing, and it was a cross off the side of a road. And he's like, this is my girlfriend's final resting place. He does this whole 30-minute crying, and he gets like a million something views. And then he keeps using it throughout the rest of his videos, like talking about it, like I just miss my girlfriend, and donate to me because my girlfriend has just passed away and I loved her so much. And then like she came out, I think like a month after all that, and said like I'm not dead, we broke up, he's abusive. And then like you start seeing it's like with the supernatural, it's like that's why there's like unanswered questions about so much stuff like 9/11 and all this stuff, is because then you start getting the people that are milking it for attention because they know they're going to get that. And then it leads back to what we're saying about in the beginning. you don't start off thinking that's how it's going to go, and it ends up going that way. Then next time it's just all this random shit where it's like, what's the truth anymore? I don't know, because there's 50 million fucking things of Bigfoot, and I can't ever find out if Bigfoot's real, because every single one is a shitty phone camera telling me, look at the, and then like when the thing comes up to them, they put the phone down and stare at their feet. I'm like, I'm great. I'm seeing a fucking size 9 Converse right now. I'm not
Yeah,
looking at Bigfoot anymore. And it's like,
yeah.
that's what I,
It just happens, so isn't it? It's
yeah.
always the case. It's like, oh, the cameras, oh, the focus was out, and it's like,
It's like the
yeah,
alien shit. It's like, no, people just milk things for attention, and it kind of ruins it a little bit. My buddies are paranormal investigators and they go on these trips. Now, there are something, I'm not easily fooled by anything. But when I saw that, I was like, fuck. Like, I had to stand up in my chair. I got goosebumps because they were using a radio as spirit box, and the thing started talking, like saying words. And they're like talking about it. It's like, yeah, this is a common thing. I'm like, and I've been able to do paranormal things or supernatural things I can't explain. So it's like, it's an interesting subject for sure. I'm more on the realm of like, I want to find out if Atlantis is real, but
yeah,
I get people that are like, I want to speak to ghosts. I'm like, I mean, they died. I mean, I'd love to speak to maybe a lost family member, but at the same time, I like the memory that I also have of them too. It's another thing I put out of that Bob Ross documentary. He wouldn't let his son see him on like his final like last year or something. Or his friends. He's like, I just want you to remember me how you remember me, not as what I am now. I'm 85 pounds and it's just not good. And it's like,
yeah.
oh, like, I don't know. It's crazy. Imagine if you talk to Bob Ross and just get the whole story. Where'd you leave all your secret information that everybody's looking for?
Yeah. Would he just take you on a painting class?
I
You know?
fucking hope, man. If you could have like every time you paint, Bob Ross just comes out and is able to teach you how to paint.
Yeah. Oh, they're happy little spots.
It's like, this kid's up the next day, Bob Ross. You just look over like, it's really because he's speaking in my ear and telling me how to do
Yeah.
everything. Yeah. Nobody else can. Maybe you're just crazy though. It's like that movie with John Travolta where he has like a tumor in his brain and he gets all these
Yeah.
superpowers and shit. It's like, maybe that's it. Maybe maybe you might have like a couple of months where you're like really good at everything. You can like every time go, I can always get a hole in one. What? And then you hit like this ball, even in the opposite direction of where the hole is, and you get a hole in one. It's because you now have all this power because you have a brain tumor inside of your head. I don't know.
Or it's just your perception of reality. You see a hole in one every single time, and it's yeah, that's worrying. You just completely
Mm.
ruin that now. It's like thinking that
It's
if I
like
start seeing, it's like I need to get my brain checked.
maybe every ghost everybody sees, it's just hallucinations of their brain because their brain's slowly decrumbling down into something and shattering their own reality. That's why people believe we're in a simulation. They don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, actually, I'll tell you that I've seen some videos recently, and there's some weird things like birds floating in the sky, just stuck still, and they're just like,
Well,
okay, that's a
that's
bit,
soaring. That happens a lot.
but yeah, but like it's like pigeons that don't soar, practically vertical, sort of floating about, sort of like building height,
Mhm.
and it sometimes you just go, I'm not entirely sure what that is. You could
Maybe
probably try to reason it out. Maybe it's caught on something, but
what's deja vu? Why do people have
uh,
deja vu?
true. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Simulation.
Yeah, there's that. Or recollections from a past life, or who knows? There's lots of options, lots of things. But that's one thing that's cool about science. It doesn't say it is correct. It says these are the facts that we've come up with, and this is the conclusion that it draws. So if we ever found something which trumps all that, then it goes, okay, then that conclusion's wrong. We'll write a new one. And I think that's what's just simply fantastic about science.
There is no science. Science doesn't exist. There's only laws. But then
Laws are made
science,
to be broken.
but science is made up of laws too.
Yeah,
Laws of
but all of
gravity,
that,
laws of physics.
yeah, and we still fuck around with them.
Welcome to the simulation. May I take your jacket? It's exactly how it goes. Harry, we've been talking for a good bit, man. Is there a place where people
Yeah.
can find you? Anything you want to end on?
Well, for now, it's just, of course, my Twitter account, really. So find me there if anyone's interested. But yeah, like I say, hopefully I'll be doing a bit more stuff online, and yeah, I bloody well enjoy having these conversations with you.
I think September is going to be your month.
Yes,
Th-
yes. Well,
think you got some plans coming up ahead that are eventually going to unfold into something.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a good month, I think. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Well, thanks for listening to this episode of Out of the Blank podcast, and stay tuned for our next episode.